Hello.
Yo,
All right, and we are live. I believe we're live.
well, I hope so. I wonder how we can check.
No, we are live. Okay, so
Oh,
sorry about that, everybody. If you're joining us here this evening, welcome to our first live stream on the channel. I'm Dante D. If you are watching from the United States tonight, happy early Independence Day. And if you're watching from Canada, happy belated Canada's Day. Tonight, we have a very special guest. We have Louie Fecou, and he is a. Did I say it right, Louis?
yeah, you got it.
Okay, I got it. Perfect. He is a collector based out of Scotland, and he's also been a subscriber on the channel for a long time. You've been on the channel for quite a bit now, haven't you, Louis?
Yeah, I think so. I can't remember how long, Dante, but I think it's got to be how long have you been doing this now?
Ooh, probably about I would say maybe 2 years now. I think.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Right, right. So yeah, so you've been on the channel for a long time, and
Yeah,
it's been great having conversations with you. Tell me a little bit about how you got into comic book collecting.
right. Well, I'm in Scotland, Dante, yeah, so it's different being a UK collector than a Canadian or American collector because we didn't have access to Marvel and DC books in the same way that you guys would have, yeah. So I had an older brother who was buying what we call Marvel UK comics, yeah. So around about 1972, Marvel launched comics in the UK, reprinting classic US stuff. And my big bruv was buying them just off the newsagents. They would come out weekly as opposed to monthly. So every week you go to the newsagent, you'd buy a comic. And then we used to have things like Beano, Dandy, Lion, Tiger, those kind of things, yeah. But then all of a sudden there was these Marvel comics. And the first UK one was called Mighty World of Marvel, and it was a sort of anthology book. It would reprint Spider-Man, Hulk, and Fantastic Four, all in the one magazine-sized issue. And I was young, very young at the time when they were coming out, and thinking, huh, I've never seen anything like this before. It was very different from what we were getting in the UK, and hooked like that. So he grew up and moved out of comics, and I didn't. I just,
So
I had all his back issues.
so he stopped reading comics, and
Yeah.
you've been reading them all the way up to even
Mm.
today, right?
Yep.
That
Yep. Pretty much.
Wow, that's
So,
that's
but
that's
the
quite astounding.
well, the comics came over here, like I said, I think it was 1972 that Marvel UK sort of launched this sort of bid to get into the UK market because the comics would be shipped over here, and usually they would, you'd be lucky if they arrived at the shop. There was certainly no kind of scheduling. There was definitely no real distribution service to speak about. So if you saw a spinner rack and it had a few comics in it, it would be just whatever that they had got their hands on. So you couldn't really, there was no subscription service, so you couldn't think I'm going to go down and pick up this month's Spider-Man. It just
Right.
didn't happen that way. And Stanley obviously knew that there was a huge market waiting to get hit, and Stan, not wanting to miss a trick, launched these UK comics. Like I said, the first one was called Mighty World of Marvel. UK readers, I guarantee anybody around about my age who knows anything about their comic book history will know these comics. And
Hmm.
they would be just reprints. I've got some here, Dante. Yeah, that I've managed to whip out from the collection. So, and I'll show you this one here. This is issue number 4, and this is from October 1972. Yeah.
Wow, that's
Now,
something else. Those are oversized too, aren't they? They're not your
yeah, yeah, yeah.
standard Bronze Age size for a comic book,
No.
are they? Okay.
Wonder if I've got a, let me, right, there's a previews. That's the size difference. Can you see this, the difference there?
Wow. Yeah, big size different.
Yes, they were like,
It's almost like the same size of the prestige editions of
yeah,
some of
yeah, yeah,
those graphic novels from the 1980s that Marvel was putting out, isn't it?
yeah. And I think probably the DC stuff, Black Label, it's about the same size as them, but not square bound.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So
Wow.
so this is like issue 4, and see that cover there. Now that's a redrawn cover because a lot of these Marvel UK comics would have redrawn covers. So I'm pretty sure, although they were never credited, I think Jim Starlin was doing a lot of them. If you look at that, you'll maybe see. I mean, that's not an image from a US comic, yeah.
Right.
That's been drawn for the UK one. And I think it was Jim Starlin that was doing a lot of these and then getting them shipped over, yeah. So now inside, there you go. So can you see that okay?
Yeah, I can see a little bit through the page, but maybe let's look at the splash page a little bit.
Right, hang on, wait a minute, I'll show you. Right, can you see? They're not in full colour.
Oh, look at
So
that. Okay.
so they were done like in 2 colours. So of course, well, that's the Hulk strip, and this is an old Lee Kirby one, yeah. But you can see it's just done in green. It's green, white, and black.
Right, right. So
Because they couldn't. Yeah, on you go.
so let me understand. So the covers were completely original, but
Yeah,
these stories were reprints from issues
yeah,
that were released in North America.
without a doubt. And sometimes what they would do, if they could, they would use the original cover, obviously to save money. Yeah, and that's the reason why they were black and white. They were just 2 colour because it would be expensive to do the whole thing in full colour. So what they would do, let me flip through this, is every now and then you get like a full colour page, like a pin-up or something.
Right. Wow.
Yeah,
That's something else. And you're
and
right.
then
When we were talking a little bit earlier, I don't. No one really talks about these editions that were
no,
exclusive to the UK, and I think this is definitely a special treat that we're getting tonight because I myself wasn't even aware of these.
yeah,
I mean, I'm even learning something new. So that's great. Now,
in in this,
sorry, in that issue that you have,
yeah,
what stories are reprinted in there?
right, okay, right. So we've got a really early Lee and Kirby Hulk. I don't even know what issue this is that's reprinting because it's probably really, really early on. You can sort of tell by the art style. The Hulk, the first 6 issues, and then they cancelled it, and then they did it again. I think it's pretty much from one of those first 6 issues of the original Hulk run, right?
Right.
And can you see this here, Dante? If I put that up,
Yeah.
that's
Oh, wow.
a letter to the UK readers from Stan Lee,
Right.
including a photograph of him. Because we would really not be aware of who Stan Lee was at this point.
Right.
So he would he would do, hard to imagine, he would do that kind of thing where he would like, remember like bullpen bulletins, he would do that in the UK comics directly at the UK market. So you've got that Hulk story there, and then you would get Fantastic Four.
Right. Wow. So
And
when did the same types of issues that you'd be seeing in North America, when did you start seeing those in the UK?
well, they would have came over, but really sporadically.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think they literally shipped them like on ships and sent them over. So they would just arrive when they arrived. So it was really hard to pick them up, like regularly. And that's why like those early Silver Age Marvels and DCs are really hard to find in the UK because they never came over here. And I see when they did you ever get water damaged comics that are all rippled
Right. I actually have a
because
few
they've
in my
been,
collection.
well,
Yeah.
right, okay, well, a lot of them would come over like that to the UK because they'd been in damp boats and cargo hulls and stuff. So you'd get a lot of water rippled comics over here,
Wow, that's
which was a
fascinating.
disaster.
You
Yeah.
know, I really have to say it's really interesting. I mean, I even have some books in my own collection where there's some damage, whether it be water damage or there's a tear or there's some sort of a cutout, and I almost find that more interesting than a book that is in mint condition because it makes you kind of there's this air of wonder uh,
Yeah, yeah.
around surrounding that book because you wonder, you're like, oh, who owned this, what exactly happened, it really makes you think about that book, and then when I hear stories like that, it's just so it's just so incredible, it's so incredible, it's almost mythical, You know what I mean? Even when I buy books nowadays, and there are those stamps that are on them,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
date
We
stamps
used to get them.
or not for resale
Uh-huh.
stamps and things. It just really it's just really incredible. So I think that's incredible that
Yeah.
in the UK that you have those rippled books.
It's really shit. Here's the center pages of this issue, and you can see they're in colour, Dante, right? And these
Right.
would be specially done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, see if I point you here. Can you see that close up? Is it Mr. Fantastic?
Yep,
Yeah.
it's
It's like a little
Mr.
coupon.
Yeah, it's like a little cool. Is that almost like a Marvel value stamp?
It's like, yeah, before Marvel Value Stance, because what they did in here to get you to buy the next one, they would put a little coupon, and each issue would have a coupon, and you would collect like 6 of them, and then you would send it away to them, and they'd send you like a prize. Do you know
Oh,
what I mean?
interesting. Yeah.
So you see that there, that page there with Sue Storm on it.
Yep. Wow.
So it was a way of keeping you buying the comic every week, yeah.
Right.
So of course, what would happen is a lot of these early issues, the UK ones, just like the Marvel Value stamps, they would be cut out and missing. Luckily, this one's got it, yeah.
Now, similar
So
to the Marvel value stamps, I know when those were in circulation, people would cut them out and they would kind
yeah,
of paste them in a book. Was there something
yeah,
similar available in the UK for
exactly
those?
the same,
Oh,
exactly the
wow. Okay.
same. So I reckon Marvel UK was doing that before
Right. Right.
Marvel in America, or around the same time. This would have been 72, yeah. So
Right.
if I go to the back of this issue, yeah, okay, there's another full color pin-up, yeah.
Yep.
And usually they'd be missing from these issues as well, because they would be torn out and put on your wall, and then you would get Spider-Man.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So
something else.
literally in the same comic, you get Hulk, Fantastic Four, and Spider-Man. Yeah.
Hmm.
And this comic did really well. There's the back page. Yeah.
Right. Right. Wow. That's really incredible. It's something else, unlike anything I think anybody in North America has seen. Now, I know that those are exclusively Marvel. Was DC doing something similar at the time, or were they just the single issues?
No, at this time, no, they didn't.
Okay.
But later on, they would do something, Dante. Now, if I go down here, this will be from 1980, and I think I could be wrong, right? But DC obviously would want a bit of that market, because Marvel UK did really, really well. So see, after that comic got launched, they went on to launch a whole lot of different titles from Marvel. So that'd be Mighty World of Marvel. I've got a few here I can show you. There again, that's another another cover that's been drawn,
Hmm.
specifically for the UK market. Yeah, that's issue 9 there. And I'll show you this one, number 22. You see that?
Wow. Now, for those people that are collectors that are joining us this evening, what are those worth? Is there a worth on those? Are they really
Mm.
expensive to collect?
Over here, no. The first issues, yeah, like see the very first issue, yeah, they're expensive. But when you go down the line, the further on you go, they don't. You can buy them quite cheaply. However, what's happened recently, Dante? Maybe I can find you an example.
Hmm.
Look at that. There's a Daredevil joined the lineup.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So what they did was they eventually Spider-Man gets so popular that they gave Spider-Man his own title. Yeah. So Spider-Man left Mighty World of Marvel, and then he went on to his own title. And I've got a really beat up copy of his first issue there. That's the first UK Spider-Man title.
That's something else. Wow. And that art, that is unlike, like I don't have every
Yeah.
single issue of Amazing Spider-Man, but I could
Mhm.
recognize the covers, and what I'm
Yeah.
seeing there looks completely foreign to me, but it has such a charm because it has that really classic Bronze Age look, but
Yeah.
it's
Hmm.
really unlike I think anything that anybody in North America has seen before.
And then by the time they had launched Spider-Man, they also thought they would launch Foom in the UK.
Hmm. Yeah, I remember seeing ads for
Foom,
that in those Bronze Age
Friends
books.
of Old, Friends of Old Marvel, yeah. And then at the back of it, you get a full issue of Spider-Man, and then at the back they would be reprinting Thor.
You know what? I almost kind of I kind of almost would prefer reading the comics in that format because it's giving you like a little sample of
Yeah,
all of Marvel's content. It's almost they're almost
yeah,
following they were almost following kind of like a golden age type,
yeah.
because back in the golden age it was all anthology books. So, and as we got to the silver age and to the bronze age, they were starting to get further and further away from that. So it's really interesting to see that in the UK that they still kind of maintain
Yeah.
that format to some extent. Now,
I think.
sorry, go
Oh,
ahead.
on you go. I was going to say, Dante, see in the UK, our comic books for kids were traditionally those kind of anthology stories. So UK people will remember comics like Lion and Tiger and Hotspur and Beano and Dandy, and they would have, it would be a comic the same size as that, but they would maybe be 5 or 6 different strips in it. Yeah. And that's what in
Mm,
the UK we were used to reading. So you get like 4 or 5 pages of one story and it would continue in the next episode. Then you get another story and another story. And then when 2000 AD launched, they did exactly the same. They used that anthology stuff. So you would have Dan Dare, Judge Dredd, Harlem Heroes, Strontium Doc, all in the same comic. Yeah. But they'd only be 4 or 5 pages long. So Marvel, I think they probably thought, well, to get the UK market, we'll need to kind of do what they're doing. Yeah. Because I think they decided that we wouldn't buy a comic with just one story in it.
right.
We would want 2 or 3, yeah, for it to be worthwhile. And then and they came out weekly as well. So what would happen is that if later on, as they started running out of material, yeah. So what they did, they put more strips in, and you would only get maybe 4 or 5 pages of an issue. And then when the next issue came out, you'd get another 4 and 5 pages. So one US comic would maybe last for 4 or 5 UK issues. Yeah, because these were coming out every week, not every month. So they had to make sure they had enough material to go through them, and they were launching them all the time. Once they
Mm.
did Spine, here's a cover you'll have never seen. Right, you'll know the story. Yeah, I'll show you that splash page. If you're a Spider-Man fan, you'll know that splash page, Dante. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And just a
But look at
side
the
note
cover.
here, just a side note here, Louis. Some of the people that are watching right now, I have Spidey Knight here, uh,
Yeah.
saying that's a nice cover. Really, really enjoying the covers. And for anybody that is just joining us on this evening's first live stream on the channel, we have Louie Fecou, who is joining us. He's a collector based out of Scotland. He's been collecting for many, many years. How long would you say you've been collecting for, Louis?
Oh, geez, 40 years, Dante.
40 year. Wow. How many comics do you have? I don't think I've ever asked you this. How many comics do you have in your collection?
Well, I don't know. I've got boxes and boxes of them. I'm trying to sell a lot of them because I've just running out of room. I've stopped buying a lot of new stuff, Dante. So I'm really trying to get rid of a lot of stuff. Yeah, some things you just want to keep. Yeah,
Right. Yeah,
but yeah,
how,
yeah,
how does the wife feel
literally for
about your comic book addiction?
she doesn't mind. So we're the missus. We're not actually married. Yeah, so she doesn't mind, and she quite enjoys the comics and stuff as
Oh,
well. Yeah,
good.
um, so it's quite amicable. Yeah, she
Right.
doesn't mind at all. Yeah,
Good.
let me show you this cover, Dante.
Yeah,
Right, this is
absolutely.
so. Right, you'll know that splash page.
For sure.
Yeah. Right now, there's the cover to it, the UK cover.
A completely different cover, completely different art, and this
Completely
is
different.
this is this is and,
Yeah.
and that style there. That is not even a style I recognize. You know, like how you can recognize a lot of the
No.
Bronze Age artists. Who would you say
Yeah.
that is? Because that wasn't credited,
I'm,
was it?
It's never credited. I'm convinced it's Jim Starlin.
Starlin. Okay.
Yeah, but I could be wrong. But we'll never know.
Right.
Mind you, I met Jim Starlin up in Glasgow once, Dante, at a comic convention. I wish I'd asked him if he ever did any work for Marvel UK. I bet somebody will be able to Google it and find out. Yeah,
I'm sure.
but
Also,
and
another
then
sorry, another
there's the back page.
side note here. You were talking about Judge Dredd a little earlier. We have another viewer here, Chrissy B, who is also
Yeah.
watching from the UK this evening. I know it's very late there.
Hey.
You're all you're all troopers. She says I'm in the UK and grew up on 2000 AD Judge Dredd stories were only like 6 pages long. So
Yeah.
yeah, so
Because
you're not the only one who remembers that, right?
yeah, because there would be lots of different stories, Chris. You'll remember that you'd have Judge Dredd, you would have Strontium Dog, you would have all these these different strips, and they would all be in the same comic. You only get a few pages of each one, but they were tremendous. It's where a lot of these, I mean, Alan Moore, Dave Gibbons, Brian Bolland, I mean, they all did their stints all through 2000 AD before they hit it really big. Let me show you another Spider-Man comics
Sure,
weekly,
absolutely.
and this one, right, you'll recognize that cover right away.
Absolutely, for sure. I don't know the
Yeah,
exact issue
so
number, but yeah, I remember seeing that.
13, I think 13,
13.
first
Okay.
Mysterio, yeah. But the in the interiors for Spider-Man, all red and black and white.
Wow. Look at
Yeah,
that. Almost has kind of like that pulpy feel to it, doesn't it?
yeah, definitely.
Right.
And then, and here's another example of them doing Stan Lee doing the selling machine, and the center page is full color, where they would give you the Marvel value coupon stamp to cut out because they'd want you coming back
He was
week
such a
after week.
businessman, wasn't he? He was always pushing the
Ah, yeah,
Marvel product,
yeah.
from day one. Now,
And then even there,
would you say, Louis, that these types of magazines that appeared in the UK, that they really helped kind of proliferate Marvel's content in the UK? Like, I don't know
oh
how
yeah,
it was in the UK in the 70s and 80s, but there was a point where Marvel greatly surpassed DC. Was that the case in the UK as well?
yeah. Because these comics were really really popular, Dante. Let me. I love to show you these. I know you like them. That's why I want to keep. I'll keep talking though. But when these comics came out, they really kind of took the UK by storm because we'd never really seen anything, quite like these before.
Right.
We were used to um, you'll not know what they are, like Commando comics and war. We did an awful lot of war comics, yeah,
Oh.
World War II stories and things. But when superheroes came over here, it was huge. Yeah, this is issue 14. So again, that's a redrawn cover. I've no idea who would even have done that. Yeah,
Yeah, that
but,
Green Goblin looks really unlike. Does not look like a
yeah,
Ditko Green Goblin at all, right? Or even a Romita Green Goblin. I don't know that
no,
looks very
I
different.
don't know. I don't know who done that. And I'll show you the next one here. You'll never have seen. You'll know the issue. It's first Craven,
Yes, absolutely, for sure.
but totally different cover.
Yep, completely different. Wow.
And it took me a while because obviously you would just assume that's the cover of the comic, and then when it was only later years where you actually were in a position to be able to see the original comics, you would think that cover's completely different from the issue.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Absolutely. That's
but they've got a certain kind of charm about them, Dante, like you say. I mean, they do have a kind of pulpy feel to them. They're in newsprint. It's all done. You'll see it's just all reds and blacks and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, that
it's
that
just
coloring
like
is almost it gives it, like I said, I keep using the word charm, but it really gives it a different charm that's not seen, I think, in the North American editions, right?
it's kind of so strange. Even looking back at them, and then again at the back, you would get Thor. You get Thor reprint, yeah. And I just like showing these off. Yeah. Do you remember? Was it issue 16 when the first
Yes,
crossover?
I actually, I have to say, I think last week I actually read that particular issue. Now, obviously, I don't have the original because it's quite expensive, but I have the Amazing Spider-Man Omnibus Volume One, and I remember, I think it's the Circus of Crime or something. That's
Yeah, that's the one.
yeah, yeah, okay, yep.
Ringmaster.
Yep, I actually
Yeah.
just read that. I have here Lovell Lucas Jr. He's another he's a frequent commenter on the channel, and he says what I find beautiful about all the UK works, including yours, is your beautiful penmanship and colors that complement one another and really upped the ante on the quality artwork. So
Mm.
definitely, we have a lot of other viewers this evening that are recognizing the really unique collection that you have this evening. Now let's fast forward a little bit to present day. How
Sure.
would you what would you say the status of comics is in the UK? Because I mean I know in here in North America, generally people aren't really reading a lot of new content. A lot of people actually have gotten their pitchforks and torches out against Marvel and DC for a lot of content they've been putting out in recent years. Is it the same in the UK, or are people a little bit more receptive?
Well, it's hard to tell, Dante. So, comic shops are quite few and far between. Yeah.
Okay.
So the nearest big city to me is Glasgow. It's about 33 miles up the road, and we've got a big Forbidden Planet up there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the biggest comic shop we've got up there, and they've got a lot of new comics and stuff coming in. Then you've got a couple of small indie shops up in Glasgow. I wish I could name them all. I think there's Red Hot Comics. There's a place called the Wee Comic Shop. There's the one in the West End, City Centre Comics, and they're a lot smaller, yeah. But that's the only place you can buy comics,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So see if you don't stay in Glasgow, you've got a bit of a trek to go to get your stuff in the specialty shops, unless you're ordering them online, yeah.
Right.
But I got up to Forbidden Planet. It's only just reopened after lockdown, yeah. But I got up to Forbidden Planet, and the thing that always shocks me is the number of issues on the shelf, Dante, which you can't believe, yeah, because they've got comics there from way December, January, February, yeah, and there's still piles of them on there, which always makes me think that comics aren't selling that well, which is
Right.
sad, yeah. But you kind of tell. I remember that there was a time when I was collecting maybe back in the 80s and things, and the direct market, and I would go up to the comic shop. You had to have a pull list, because often if you didn't have a pull list, you wouldn't get your comic. You wouldn't be able to lift it off the shelf. But now, see, unless it's a variant or a special edition, or you just pull one off the shelf right away, yeah. And unless it's been hyped up, and then everybody's speculating on it and buying it to sell it on, then that's different. They've all gone. But there's so many comics on those shelves, and I always take that as an indication of how, maybe it's unfair after lockdown, but there's so I mean they're inches thick on the shelves, and I always think, maybe comics aren't selling all that well. Yeah.
Right.
So, but
And who
I
would
don't
you
know.
say? I mean, this evening we're both showing amazing Spidey love with our amazing Spidey shirts. Who would you say? Yeah, here we go. Who would you say is the most popular? This is this question actually for you and for anybody who's joining us this evening. Who would you say is the hero in the UK? Because I certainly think in North America, I'm not sure, everyone's opinions can be different about this, but I kind of feel that North America's character is Superman. I
Mhm.
just find that you have characters like Captain America, who stand for the American way, and but you always Superman. There's something about Superman here in North America. What do you all think? Do you think it's Superman, or would you say there's another character? And what about in the UK, Louis? Would you say that Superman's the character there, or is
Uh,
it another?
no, I don't think so. Scotland's a lot smaller.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, and I think that's why ground level heroes appeal to us more. So Batman would be much more in line with the Scottish people anyway. I think who respect that kind of darker, grittier side, because Batman's not always been portrayed that way. But if you think back to, I mean, when Batman really started to change into this Dark Knight detective in the 70s with Neil Adams and Denny O'Neil, and he was a street level crime. I mean, you see, Batman is more of a thing that could happen as opposed to Superman, who will not happen. So
Right.
I think being from a smaller country, and everything being a little bit more narrowed focus, I think Batman's probably more popular here. For me, I mean, I always loved Spider-Man, I always loved Daredevil, but again, they were always street level heroes. I was never that big on Superman. Plus, when I was growing up, so people of my age, Dante, in '72 when they were putting those books out, and we
Hmm.
were reading those like Liam Ditko Spider-Mans and all that kind of stuff. There's a huge, yeah, I know nostalgia. You shouldn't look back the way, but nostalgia plays a huge part in, yeah, a lot of people of my age who might not pick up anything from the New 52 or Marvel Now or whatever, but they'll have fond memories of reading those comics when they were a kid and maybe associate um, that memory with that. So I think Superman would have been much more an American icon. Batman probably suited Scotland a bit more because it always rains here anyway. So he's
Well,
he's
to
always
tell you
hanging
the
about roofs.
truth, we have I believe here. I'm just going back on the comments here. Chrissy B actually agrees with you and really feels that Batman captures the UK's national consciousness.
Yeah.
So,
Uh-huh.
and then I also have another viewer here, Spidey Knight, who's really interested in buying some comics from Louie. Do you have an eBay account?
Hey, I sure do.
Are any of your comics for
um,
sale?
yeah, I put stuff up all the time. Yeah. So the trouble is the shipping. It's more the shipping than the cost of the comics, Dante. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So depending where they are. But you know, I'll maybe send you a link for my eBay place, and you can put it in the description or something, and they can check it out later or
That
something.
would be perfect. Yeah,
But
maybe provide me with that, and also your maybe some of your social media information, and I can definitely share it with the viewers so they can connect with you.
sure, yeah. Do you want to see any more of these covers, Dante?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is, I think, for me especially, a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Right. Well, listen, can you see that splash page?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Oh.
So it's from Sinister Six, Spidey Annual 1. Yeah. But
Yep.
there's the cover, which is just totally different
Totally. Absolutely.
from the US version. Yeah.
Hmm.
So and that style, I couldn't even guess who had drawn that, Dante. Yeah. And then look in the middle pages here. Can you see Stan's soapbox?
Yep. There's Stan Soapbox. Yep.
Yep, without a doubt. Even for a UK market, he was constantly punting and winding everybody up. And then eventually we got letter pages as well, because you would write a letter in, and then you would get an answer. And then of course then you get Thor at the back. And I'll see if there's any other good ones here for you. Do you know what's interesting, Dante? See, like first appearance of the Green Goblin, Amazing Spider-Man 14, cost you a fortune to buy. Yeah, it was reprinted in the UK in 1973, which isn't that long. It might have been well, it would have been the first appearance of the Green Goblin in the UK. So strangely, those issues go up in price because they're key, even though they're British reprints. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll see if I can find you. Right, there's a cover, Dante, that you'll probably recognise.
Yeah. Absolutely. Completely.
But
Wow. So it looks
but
redone.
yeah, it looks redone. I think the
Mm.
colours are all different.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's quite a strange thing as well. I don't know how. I think maybe they just changed the colours, or they maybe retouched it, or there might have been something wrong with the print format when they got it, or it would have just been sent through to them. Yeah. And then the backup thing's all in black and white, Dante. But there's something so kind of nice about the grayscale they're using and the
Right.
tone. So
Absolutely.
it almost looks different from the original color version because of the way that they have printed these things. Yeah.
Right.
There's another one, another comic cover there you might recognize, but again, it just looks different.
Yes. That is definitely something else. I mean, any hardcore collector in North America would probably give a left arm to get their hands on some of those. It's
There's You
oh,
recognize that soon.
absolutely, that is the famous. I think that was what, for Spider-Man 32, the Amazing Spider-Man
Yep,
32 or
something like that.
33, something like that. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
the
But
yeah when yeah, absolutely. That's Ditko work, correct?
yeah,
That was
but
a
there's the cover,
yeah, and that
which
was
is totally.
yep, completely different. Yeah, they redid it, and I think that was towards
Yep.
the end of Ditko's tenure on Spidey, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was around the time he was falling out with Stan. Yeah. Um, and then there's some black and white Kirby goodness.
Mm-hmm.
And these comics ran for a long, long, long time, Dante. Here's you'll not have seen that one before.
Yeah. Wow, look at that. Unbelievable.
So anyway, these comics went on and on and on, Dante. Where are we now? This is 1975, and that's first Morbius, yeah.
Yes.
So I think that'd be Spidey 101, yeah.
Yep, that would have been Spidey 101. And again, cover looking very, very different, right?
Yeah.
Now, if I'm not
Now,
mistaken, on the original North American release, wasn't the lizard was on that cover too, correct?
um,
I can't recall
possibly
now.
was that not? Is that yeah? First Morbius, is it not the one where it's Gil Kane and does he not? he's knocking Spidey down the stairs with 6 arms.
Yeah, he has
Was
6
it issue
arms,
101?
and I remember that the issue had the lizard in it, but I can't remember if the lizard's on the cover or not. But
I don't think issue 101, I'm pretty sure is first Morbius, and I don't think Lizard was on that cover because it's Morbius. I'm sure he's hitting Spider-Man down a set of stairs for some reason, and Spider-Man's got 6 arms.
right, yeah.
So now, see later on, Dante. See, this is from 1976 now. Right, now, this is the weirdest thing you've ever seen. UK decided to print the comics landscape.
They printed it in landscape, so they're going almost Frank Miller style now.
Yeah, right. So now wait, I'll show you this. Now this is, of course, do you know what issue that would have been?
Yeah, that would have been 121, right? That's the Death of Gwen
Yeah.
Stacy issue, right?
Okay, right. See if I open this up. Right, can you see what they did?
All black and white. Wow.
All black and white plus two pages on one page.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yep, I see it now.
Does that make sense? So they were literally.
Yeah.
So if I open that comic up, it's like that.
Yeah, definitely something that Frank Miller tried to bring over with 300, right? But now,
Yeah.
was this common or was this an anomaly at the time?
This was all the Marvel comics ended up like this for a long, long time, and it was so they could fit more content in. But of course, there'd be less pages, Dante. So that meant that, let's say they're reprinting Spidey 121 or whatever, and then they only print half of it. So see, the next issue they would have to have. Often, what they would do is they would have a redrawn splash page.
Mm-hmm.
So I know, because they would get in the middle of the story. So see, Iron Man was in by this time. Now see that splash page can you see that there?
Right. Yep.
That's a UK drawn splash page to go with an American reprint.
So there was a lot. This wasn't. I actually kind of admire this because it wasn't just Marvel blindly reprinting this. They actually put a lot of thought and effort into this, didn't they?
If you get to Thor here, you'll see the art styles, because there's the reprint stuff. I think is that Buscema on Thor there?
Yep.
But because they were in the middle of a story, they had to redraw the splash page, so they would get some staff artist in just to draw a new splash page for it.
Right. Now, Louie, to your knowledge, I don't know, did these make their way to other parts of Europe, like non-English speaking parts of Europe? Do you know if they were translated ever or anything?
No, I don't think they did. And I think what happened in Europe, I think they ended up doing similar reprints, Dante. I think that the license was just given to France and Italy and stuff, because you can buy these old comics in France and Italy with reprints on them, but they're not done like that. They're actually thicker, like bigger album-sized comics than that. But they didn't have that kind of level of attention to it. Although a lot of them might have had different covers and stuff, drawn for them, but they weren't directly reprinted like that. There's a cover.
Yep.
You'll recognise, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the issue that
it should
followed.
Be like that.
Yeah, it should be like that, but it's
And they've somehow stretched it out to that.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely interesting to see that they put a complete different level of effort into disseminating. Marvel put a completely different level of effort into disseminating their content in Europe, because I've seen other editions from other parts of Europe. Like I've seen Italian editions, Spanish editions of Marvel comics. Like I know in Italy, Spider-Man was L'Uomo Ragno, and in Spain, the Hulk was La Masa. So but I don't think I've ever seen anything like that coming from other parts of Europe. So that's really something else, Louie.
Yeah. Now, see, after the success of Spider-Man, Dante, they started doing other ones, and these are really badly beat up. But they launched the Avengers in their own UK comic. Yeah.
Mm. Oh, look at that. Okay, and that looks something a little bit more like what they're used to in North America, right?
Yeah, that's probably the original. That's the original cover. Yeah. Although inside, by this time, what year was this? I mean, it's still 73. They started making the covers glossy. You'll not be able to see, but as opposed to those kind of newsprint ones from the Spideys, this is glossy, like an American comic would have had. But
Hmm.
see, in the UK, we never had glossy comics, Dante. They were always
Right.
newsprint. So this glossy cover thing was again another way of thinking, right, well, how can we tap into the market and make these stand out in the shelf? So of course they did glossy covers for the Avengers, yeah, all through the 70s. Wait a minute, I'll show you that. You'll know this cover.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Beautiful cover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and they have, well, they've got the Avengers in the front, yeah, all black and white by this point, and
Hmm.
then they would have a couple of pages of letters and stuff that people would write in, and then you would get Ditko Strange at the back.
Wow. Look at that. Beautiful. Now,
So
Louis, I just have a question here from a viewer. This is a question from Chrissy, who's been with us on the stream for pretty much the whole time. She says, Dante and Louis, I have a question. What do you think about alternate covers trying to cover up bad stories? So, what do you think about that?
I don't mind the odd variant, but I can see when they release a new comic and there's like 24 variant covers and there's a hidden gem variant and they get all. Where do you start there, Dante? I mean, where do you actually start with that? Those things are released purely for speculators to pick it up and say, I've got the 1 in 100 variant here. Yeah, that's, I mean, it's really quite annoying. And I have it on record from different comic shop people saying that it's not good for business neither because they release these. DC are bad for it just now. They're doing all these anniversary things and they'll release, Joker, Catwoman, all the
Hmm.
characters get the 100-page things. Those books are $10, yeah,
Right.
and they might have like 96 pages or whatever. But then that's not enough. Then they'll release 20 variant covers for it, and the covers are often beautiful. But I mean, I've spent ages staring, thinking, I'm only buy one of these. Which one do you buy? I mean, it's crazy. So I tell you, a lot of the time, I leave it because you pick them up cheap eventually because people can't get rid of them. There's
Right.
so many of them. They just print so many.
Exactly. And I myself, I totally agree with you. I mean, the variant covers, they're nice to look at, but I feel that they're feeding in more to the collector market. Like, we have to take a step back and go to the roots of the hobby. Comic book collecting, comic books are reading it's a reading hobby, right? And I mean, the
Yeah.
art's nice to look at, but when they're releasing multiple covers, I think it's just really watering down what this hobby is supposed to be about, and it really
Yeah, I
just
think so too.
it's a money grab. It's a business, and like you said, it's nice to look at them, but I myself have never paid attention to variant covers. I like the
No.
original, and that's it. Another thing that I personally don't like, and I don't know how you feel about it, but I personally don't like cover swipes either. How do you feel about cover swipes?
Yeah, depends on how it's been done, Dante. Yeah, see, a cover swipe for the sake of a cover swipe is just lazy artwork.
Right.
Because I could take, anybody could take Spider-Man 50, right? That famous cover. In fact, I've got it kicking about in one of
The
these, yeah.
Kingpin.
And then just yeah, Kingpin cover, and
Yeah.
just substitute it for anything that they want. Is so lazy, yeah, and it feels cheap. I
Right.
think, yeah, because these artists are so talented, Dante. If they want to do a cover swipe, that's an easy out. Do you know what I mean? Because how difficult is it? And I know that again, they're beautiful to look at. Are you buying that book to look at the cover, or are you buying to read it? So I think there has to be some kind of. You're right. I mean, who are they putting these things out for? Yeah, and I've seen cover swipes from really obscure things, and I'm thinking, who actually knows what that's the swipe from in the first place, unless it's said on it, like I don't know. Eric Larson did a whole pile of them, I think, for Savage Dragon, and there were some really obscure ones on there, like old Daredevil ones from the 70s. I'm thinking nobody will know where that's even been swiped from. So I mean, it just seems silly, yeah. But what do you
Right.
think?
Uh, I personally am not a big fan of it at all. I think it's interesting to see, like, everybody gets that almost like this positive response when they see that cover. that's been swiped, but it's almost as if I'm actually not inspired to pick up that book because it is a cover swipe. I'm actually thinking about the original. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and in your opinion, which book? This is what I'm curious, and this is a question for the viewers too. Which cover do you think has been swiped the most throughout comic book history? I personally think it's Action Comics #1, but if there are any others who think differently, let me know.
Action 1's been done today. I think Spy, Amazing Fantasy 15.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
There's another one.
Let me think. What was the Batman cover? Where it was actually do you know the Batman one? It was a swipe from a Golden Age one. Was it Neil Adams? The big figure of Batman at the back, and then the girl running down from the Gothic mansion.
Yes, that was I think Batman 220 something, and it was cover swiping Detective Comics 31, I believe.
Yeah. Well, I think that cover's been done a lot. Yeah.
Right.
So
absolutely, for sure.
You'll maybe get some better ones in the comments then. Yeah. Listen, can I show you this from '75? Well, Marvel UK was in full swing. They launched.
Conan. There we go.
Yeah.
I've been
That's
looking
the first
for
issue
that
of
one
the UK.
myself. Can't find it anywhere. It's too darned expensive.
Well, this is the UK reprint of it. Yeah.
Right.
And again, there's this. Can you see that splash page? And can you see a special message on the splash page from Stan Lee?
Absolutely. Wow. Those are just something else.
They just used to they pushed these, Dante. They were so popular. They launched another one called the Superheroes, and it was Silver Surfer and X-Men that were in it. Yeah. Right. So they just couldn't get them out quick enough. They just pushed and pushed and pushed. They did eventually. Then they did. There's an advert on the back of this for. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm. Oh, Dracula and Planet of the Apes. Look at
that. They both got their own weekly comics. Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah. And that went on right through. And then in 1980, Dante, to go back to something you said about half an hour ago, the DC wanted in the action, yeah. And let me see if I've got this here. And they launched this.
Wow. Look at that.
So, and then on the back page, you would get what they now call a virgin variant of the cover.
That's great. I've never seen that before. That's amazing.
Yeah, these covers were specially commissioned, yeah, from UK people, and on the inside, yeah, and this has got more pages than the Marvel ones, yeah, you would get black and white reprints of issues of Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman.
Look at that. So DC was kind of involved in that in some way or another in the UK as well.
This was, yeah, I think this was 1980. Yeah. 1980. Yeah, 1980 they did these. And
that's personally, I think when
yeah, on you go.
Yeah, sorry, I think I'm getting a little bit of a lag here. I don't know what's going on. My Wi-Fi connection kind of kicks in and out a little bit, but I definitely think that's when DC started picking up their game, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think so. If I get to the back page of this, here's an advert for DC Digest comics that they did here, Dante.
Mm-hmm.
So these were little pocketbooks, like paperback book sizes, and they were all just reprints. And DC started selling them in the UK as well. Again, like anthologies, little sort of, but they were like paperback books you could literally put in your pocket, and they would have maybe 4 or 5 different, but full issues in them, little tiny print ones. But DC didn't seem to do so well, and they dropped out the UK market quite quickly. Marvel just kept going, and then eventually, oh wait, I'll show you that. That's issue 2 of the DC one, yeah.
Wow, that's that. Yeah,
and that's. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
You know Gary Leach? Have you heard the artist Gary
Yep.
Leach?
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's his cover. He did that cover way before he did Miracle Man and stuff. Yeah. So then eventually, Dante, here we go. Marvel were doing so well, they actually launched their own division in the UK, and then they did these kind of comics. And this is now in, what year would this have been? 1983. Yeah. So you would get Captain Britain.
Yep.
Who actually got his own comic as well, but I don't have any of them to show you, Dante. But in the late 70s, they decided Marvel UK was doing so well, they launched Captain Britain in his own comic. So that was another weekly, and it was Chris Claremont that wrote it, but it was a UK comic. And then later on, he moved into titles like this. Now, this comic here, The Daredevils, has got a lot of... That's Alan Moore that's writing Captain Britain.
Back in his early days. Look at that.
Yeah. Yep. So he was doing Captain Britain. Those stories are great, and that's Alan Davis on the artwork there. And then you would get kind of like text articles. This is for a more sort of older audience now.
Mm-hmm.
And then you would get like there's a Daredevil reprint.
Yep.
And then you would get more sort of early Alan Moore stuff, yeah.
I love seeing early Alan Moore's stuff. You know, especially I find it funny that he worked on something like Captain Britain, especially considering the type of anti-establishment person that he is, right?
Yeah, I know. It's so bizarre, and his Captain Britain stuff's brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
yeah.
Now, speaking of Alan Moore, Dante, if you jump now to what year would this have been? Wow, 1982. Have you heard of Warrior?
Yes.
Right. Well, that's this was printed. I think it was Des Skin that printed this, and again, it's that anthology story because inside here you would get Marvel Man, yeah. You would get The Spiral Path, another story. You would get The Legend of Prester John, another story. V for Vendetta, another story. Laser Eraser and Press Button. So you would get all these strips, yeah, in the one issue of the magazine.
Wow, that something else. You really got a lot of value for what you were paying.
Oh yeah, especially now here's like the original artwork on it was Marvel Man then. Yeah, they had to change it to Miracle Man.
Absolutely.
But that's so have you read Marvel Man?
Actually, I have. I haven't read through much of it, but I remember when Marvel actually released. Yeah, they released some reprints not too long ago. Actually, I picked them up. But
here's the famous one. That was Gary Leach again. That was on the art.
That's great artwork too there.
And then see what else you had here. So then there was like a whole lot of text stuff about Marvel Man, yeah, because nobody would have known who he was, yeah.
Right.
And then you get this is nice artwork as well. Who did the artwork on this? Wait, I'll just check that. Steve Parkhouse. So this would be another strip that would be in there. A kind of Conan type thing, yeah.
Great artwork there. Yeah, it has kind of like that Barry Windsor Smith feel to it, doesn't it?
And then some... Was this John Bolton? There's a kind of King Arthur type thing here going on.
Mm-hmm. Just one thing here. Sorry, Louie, I don't mean to cut you off here, but I just wanted to wrap up with just one question from Chrissy again. She's been firing off some really interesting questions since the beginning of the stream. Her question is, how do you guys think the Marvel movies have helped or not helped comic books? What do you think? Do you think they've basic? So let's just start off. Do you think that they have helped or not helped the comic book industry?
No. And I'll tell you why, Dante. Because see, when they released those films, they couldn't get the comics to tie in with them.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Actually, I think that the MCU is probably one of the worst things to happen to comic books in general. I mean, the movies are great. People love seeing these characters come to life on screen, but I really don't think that these movies are really helping the sales of new comic books. They may be jacking up the price of back issues that feature like classic issues that feature these characters, but they're certainly not doing anything to help the modern day sales of comic books. And I've spoken to so many people that watch these movies religiously, but have never read a comic book and have no interest in picking up a comic book because why would they? These characters are on the screen, right? So, but
completely.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I just wanted to wrap things up, Louie. I wanted to thank you very, very much for joining us on our first live stream. This is the first appearance of Louie Fecou on the Geekery with Dante D channel. So this stream might be worth something one day, despite our little tech issues here in my
it won't be worth a thing, Dante.
But thank you so much. For everybody that tuned in on our first live stream, thank you very much. This is going to be the first of many. I'm definitely going to try to be bringing some more collectors from all over North America in the UK to come and chat about their collecting experience. So hopefully we'll be able to do one of these a week or every other week. So once again, Louie, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you all for joining us on our first live stream.
Did anybody watch it, Dante? Did anybody watch?
Yeah, actually,
apart from Chrissy.
Yeah, apart from Chrissy, we did have we've had people coming in and out. I don't know how many
Cool.
had joined total, but at this time right now we have about 5. So it's definitely nice.
It's not bad.
It's not bad because actually I kind of almost prefer this because it's not hard to keep up with the comments. So
yeah, that's true. That's nice that people. It's nice that people took the time to watch. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, thank you very much to you all for taking the time to watch. I look forward to seeing you all here for our next live stream. So I think I'm probably going to have to finish off this live stream the way I finish off every single video, right? Actually, I'll let you do it.
No, you do it. It's your channel. It's your show.
Fine, I'll do it. All right. So thank you all for watching. This is Dante D signing off. I will see you all in the next episode. Now you get to watch me close everything down because I can't just hit end. Thanks, Louie.
Just hit end. Take care, mate.
You too.